Gene here. Before we jump into today's podcast, I'd like to remind you that today's podcast is sponsored by Pain Relief Miracle. Pain Relief Miracle is an all-natural spray that was created by Jason Laird. It can be used for joint pains, back pains, all sorts of issues with skin. Here is Jason talking about how PRM was used to deal with something as extreme as bed sores.
At the nursing home here in Casper, they had a man with tons of open wounds, but one specific one on the side of his leg, and he'd had it for a year. So the nurses, they said, well, we've tried everything. So why don't you come up, we'll administer it, and you don't have to worry about it, and we'll let you know. It was basically almost down to the bone, and his legs were completely swollen, and these bed sores just were not healing. What they did is they cleaned the wound, and they sprayed PRM on it. They did it every day. Within 2 or 3 days, it was miraculous different. That big one shrunk probably 2/3 of the size.
Jason has created a special discount just for Tapping Q&A podcast listeners. You can receive 33% off of your first order by going to tappingqa.com/pain. That's tappingqa.com/pain for all of the information on the discount. I have it in my medicine cabinet, and you should as well. Now, enjoy today's show. This is Gene Monterastelli. Welcome to the Tapping Q&A podcast, recorded live to tape from Williamsburg in Brooklyn. This is episode 194, originally aired November 11, 2015. Hi, everyone. I hope this finds you well wherever you are and whatever time of day you're getting a chance to listen to this. Thanks for spending a little time with me today. Before we start, I just wanted to send a big thank you out to all of you who downloaded the new Tapping Q&A app. It was great to see that. Last week, I released some very, very special app-only content. The only way you could access the tap-along audio from last week was to have the smartphone app. It's available both for iOS devices, both your iPhones and your iPads, and for all of the Google Android devices. If you go to tappingqandapodcast.com, you will see a link to that. At least once a month, I'm going to be releasing app-only content. And for those of you who have the Apple iOS device, make sure you turn on push notifications so you get the information whenever new content hits the site, so you have access to that. I also want to encourage you, if you haven't done so already, make sure you get signed up for the 10-part guide for using tapping to eliminate your self-sabotage. You can get that by simply going to tappingqa.com, click on the big blue button. If you happen to be listening to this right now, if you just go up in the right-hand column, if you're listening to this on the website, click the link and off you will go. We'll start getting you those things. Now, from time to time, the internet gives us gifts. And this week, the internet gave me a really awesome gift. Some content that I had created last year with John Gabriel got republished. And in the process of that happening, a whole bunch of people found their way to my site who hadn't been there before. And I now have a process when people sign up for my newsletter is I send everybody a personal note saying, hey, what do you struggle with? Because I want to know what people like you, I ask at the end of every single podcast, what can I provide for you that will make it easier for you to be successful with your tapping? What do you struggle with? Where are the places you're stuck? And so because a whole bunch of people signed up in the last week, I got to have a number of emails going back and forth with people where they were sharing their problems and sharing the places that they were stuck. And if resources were already created, I just sent them a link to the stuff that we already had. And if it was a new idea, I made note of it so that as I create content in the future, I'm going to create the stuff that you want. And one of the ideas that came up over and over and over again was people saying, I'm new to tapping, I don't know where to start. Or I have so many issues to tap on, I don't know where to start. And so what I wanted to do today was walk you through a process which I find super helpful. Even if you're an experienced tapper, don't tune this out, because this is a tool that you can use anytime. But for people who are starting out, I find it really effective as well, because it gives you a chance to kind of clear space so that you can see clearly what are the issues that need to be responded to in a deep way. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through a really simple process. About every third month, I will use this process for a week or two. I believe in it that much. And I'm regularly sharing it with my clients, with places that I speak. I think this is a really simple, easy way to create a daily tapping routine that's going to cut deep and really clear stuff out. Now, in order to do this process, you're going to need to go to my setup phrase generator. What I did a number of years ago is I worked with a computer buddy of mine named Brian, and I created a website which every single time you refresh the page, it will give you 10 unique setup phrases. You know, I love and accept myself. I love and I care for myself. I love and I forgive myself. Even though I'm struggling with this issue, I love and care for myself. You're familiar with the setup phrase. And what this does is the setup phrase, as originally taught by Gary, even though I have this issue, I love and accept myself, doesn't always ring true and isn't always useful based on where we are. So off of the conversations that I had had with a lot of clients and the tapping I'd done on my own, I created a bunch of chunks of setup phrases, and we created the program that allows you to get 10 unique setup phrases every single time. Now, you can access the setup phrase generator a number of ways. If you happen to be listening to this currently in the website, there is a link right here in the website. You can click on it. It will take you to the setup phrase generator. The second way you can access it is if you go to EFTsetupphrasegenerator.com. EFTsetupphrasegenerator.com. It will take you to the page. The third way you can access this, if you happen to be listening to this podcast, either in the new app or in any podcast catcher, if you go into the show notes, you're going to see the link right in there, and you can click on it, and it's going to load it up on your phone. So the way the process works, step one. Go to the EFT setup phrase generator and refresh the page so it gives you 10 unique setup phrases. Now, I'm going to warn you, when you look at the phrases, they're not going to be perfectly spelled out. Some of the phrases aren't going to work exactly right. Feel free to change the language as you're reading them. You don't have to go word for word. But I want you to read through the entire page, all 10 phrases. And as you read the phrases, I want you to move from tapping point to tapping point. And the phrases are broken into two parts. Even though I have this issue, I love and accept myself. That's two parts. So for each of those parts, I want you to tap on a tapping point. So even though I have this issue, next tapping point, I love and accept myself. Even though this has been here forever, that's the next tapping point, I love and accept myself. So you can see that I've gone through 4 points in that process. So there's 10 phrases, so there's 20 tapping points, and so that will take you through the tapping points 2 or 3 times depending on which points that you use. So step one, simply read through the page and tap to all of those phrases that are on the page. Step two, get a sheet of paper or a note card, and of the 10 phrases that you have just tapped to, 2 or 3 of them are really going to resonate with you. Like they're going to be ones that you're like, oh, I can really feel that. And so the setup phrases that you have just tapped on, I want you to write them on your note card. Step one, tap through all the phrases. Step two, write the 2 or 3 phrases on your note card. And we're going to pretend for this example that there are 3 that rung true with me. So I write phrase 1, phrase 2, phrase 3 down on my note card. Step 3, at 2 or 3 other times during the day, I like to do it 3 times because it'll be lunchtime, it'll be the end of my work day, it will be before I go to bed because I've done this first part in the morning. I'm going to take that note card out, and for each of the 3 phrases on that card, I'm going to do 1 round of tapping with the phrase. So phrase 1, I'm going to do a full round of tapping where I say the phrase on every single tapping point. Phrase 2, I'm going to say the phrase every single time I do every single tapping point as I do a round of tapping. The third phrase, I do the exact same thing. So I've just done 3 rounds of tapping on each of those phrases. Again, I'm going to do this at lunchtime. I'm going to do this at the end of my workday. I'm going to do it before I go to bed. So on day 1, I've done 4 mini little tapping sessions. In the morning, as I do the full list, lunch, afternoon, bedtime. So that's day 1. Step 4 will bring us to day 2. You get up in the morning, and I want you to go through the process again where you load the page up, and since you're reloading the page, it's going to give you 10 new tapping phrases. So just like on day one, on day two, you're going to take the phrases that are on the screen and you're going to tap through them. And you're going to see which of these 10 phrases resonate with you after you've tapped through them. So after you tap through everything on the page, again, you're going to get your note card out with your 3 phrases on it, and you are going to add phrases to it. So for this example, we're going to pretend that on day 2, 2 of those phrases resonated with me. So on my note card, after the 3 phrases I wrote yesterday, I'm going to write the 2 phrases that resonate today. So now on my note card, I have 5 phrases written down. So at lunch, dinner, or lunch at the end of my workday and at the end of my day, I'm going to tap again. But I'm not going to tap through all 5 phrases that are written on the page. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to choose 3 of them, and I'm going to tap on 3 of them. Now, they might be the phrases from day 1, they might be the phrases from day 2, they might be some combination of that, but I'm going to do 3 rounds of tapping. Again, read one of the phrases, doing a full round of tapping, saying that phrase every single time. A second phrase, every single tapping point, 1 full round, I'm going to say the phrase over and over again. Third phrase, do the same thing. Now, that was lunchtime. At the end of my workday, when I pull the card out, I'm going to look at my 5, and I'm going to choose 3, another combination of 3. So it's not exactly the same what I did at lunch. And at the end of the day, I'm going to do the exact same thing. So day 1, we've tapped through the list, we've created our card, we've tapped through the day. Day 2, we've tapped through the list, we've added to the card, we've tapped through our day. Day 3 looks exactly like day 2. Open up the sheet. Going to go to the tapping phrase generator on the website, read all 10 of the phrases, tap along, and again, I'm going to take the 2 or 3 phrases that resonated with me and I'm going to add them to my note card. Now, they might go on the back of the note card or they might go onto a second note card, but I'm collecting them. So let's pretend on day 3 there were 3 phrases that rang true. So now written down, I have 3 phrases from Monday, 2 phrases from Tuesday, 3 phrases from Wednesday. And again, lunch, end of the day, end of the workday, using this list of now 8 tapping phrases. At each of those times, I'm going to pick 3 of the phrases, and I'm going to do 3 rounds of tapping. With the first phrase, 1 round of tapping. With the second phrase, 1 round of tapping. With the third phrase, 1 round of tapping. And the process continues. Now, as you do this, you will find some of the phrases that you write down are going to stop ringing true for you. And if they stop ringing true for you because they're not useful anymore, just take a line and cross them off your list. So every single morning, what you're doing is you're adding a few phrases to the list. Every single day throughout the day, you're tapping on these phrases. And then at a certain point, you take phrases and just cross them off the list so that the list that you're working from every single day is the list that rings most true for you. So I'm going to run through it again, just at a higher level, just so it's a little easy so you hear the points. Day 1, open up the website, tap on every single page, every single phrase that you see on the web page. Step 2, write down those phrases that ring true with you. Step 3, midday, into the workday, into the day, 3 rounds of tapping on each one of those phrases, 1 round each phrase. Step 4, get up in the morning for day 2, tap through everything that's on the web page. Step 5, write down the new phrases that ring true. Step 6, tap throughout the day. Step 7, get up day 3, tap through everything that's on the screen. Step 8, write down the new phrases on your list. Step 9, tap throughout the day. And as you repeat this over a number of days, what it's going to do is it's going to just continue to chip away and create space, making it so you're more comfortable inside of your own skin, making your day easier. And as you do this, the specific tapping issues that are the ones that are strongest for you are going to resonate in a way so you can clearly see what are the issues that when you're sitting down to do more comprehensive tapping, or when you're working with a practitioner, someone like myself, you can bring the issues that are biggest to them and clear them out. It's a really simple process, and it's a really powerful process. So as you do this, Let me know how it works for you. You can always email me directly through the app, or you can go to tappingqna.com, click the contact link, or you can always email me directly at gene@tappingqna.com. I would love to hear your experience. And as you'll see on the page with the setup phrase generator, you can add comments at below. If there's a particular phrase that really rings true to you, add it to the bottom. Because the generator creates well over 2,000 phrases, and someone else who's loading it might not see the one that really works for you. And by adding it in the comment section, other folks are going to find their way to that phrase. So it would be really awesome if you shared that with the community. So let me know how it works. It's a super great process. As always, I'd really encourage you to go back into the podcast archive. We're over 240 podcasts now. They're all free of charge. You can access every single one of them. Just go to tappingqnapodcast.com. Make sure you subscribe, grab the app so you have access to those things that you're on the go. Today's episode, like it has been in the past, is sponsored by Pain Relief Miracle. Make sure you check the product out. I just got a new product that Jason's been working on in the mail, and I can't wait to try it. Once I've given it a try, I'll tell you about it. But in the meantime, I can tell you the spray is something that you have to have in your medicine chest. I have it there as well. You can get 33% off your first order by simply going to tappingqna.com/pain. And as always, if you know someone in your life who could use the stuff that we talked about today, please be our ambassador. Don't spam your inbox. Don't send this to everybody in the world. But if you have a friend who's getting into tapping who doesn't know where to start, or you have someone who's really stuck, especially around issues of love and self-acceptance, send in this issue. It would mean the world to me because it gets the opportunity for these amazing free resources to get to more people. Subscribe to the podcast in iTunes, leave a rating, leave a review. If you grab the app, do the same thing. I noticed people have left reviews both in the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store for the app. I was very excited to see that. I haven't asked anyone to do that yet, and people just did that on their own. I'm flattered. It's awesome. Keep after it. And as always, you can reach me. Let me know what's going on. Let me know how I can be helpful. If you're in the website, just click on the contact link. If you're in the app, click on the little contact button. Or you can always just email me directly. All of those things land in my inbox. I want to hear from you. Gene, Gene, at tappingqna.com. For the Tapping Q&A podcast, this is Gene Montrestelli. I hope you have an awesome day, and I will talk to you real soon. Bye-bye. Tapping Q&A podcast is copyright 2015, Gene Montrestelli, Tapping Q&A. All views expressed by guests on the Tapping Q&A podcast are that of the guests and not necessarily of Tapping Q&A and Gene Montrestelli.